The stolen meal. The mining station mess hall was always loud, full of tired workers dropping trays, laughing too loudly, or arguing over seats. The smell of hot stew and bread filled the air. It was the one place where humans and aliens sat under the same dim lights, eating whatever little the cook served. At the far corner, a human named Daniel sat with his tray. He had worked 12 hours in the dust-filled tunnels. His muscles ached. His clothes were still stained from the mines. He wanted nothing more than to sit in peace and eat his food. The tray held a simple meal: stew, a small piece of bread, and a cup of water. For Daniel, it was not much, but after the long day, it felt like treasure. He leaned forward to take his first spoonful, but something strange happened. The tray moved, quick and silent, like it had been pulled by invisible hands. Daniel blinked, confused. Then he turned his head sharply. His food was gone. In the corner of his eye, he saw a shadow moving between tables. He stood, his chair scraping against the floor. Heads turned, workers glanced at him. Daniel followed the movement. His boots echoed against the steel floor as he pushed through the crowd. There, near the back wall, a small figure crouched, clutching his tray. It was a girl, not human. Her skin was pale blue with faint glowing lines running down her arms. Her hair messy, tangled. Her eyes, large and bright, looked like twin pools of light. Fear froze her face. She held the bread like it was gold. Her hands shook. She stuffed a spoonful of stew into her mouth quickly, almost choking. When she saw Daniel towering over her, her lips trembled. The hall went quiet. Voices started whispering. "Caught her," someone muttered. "Thief." Another spat. "She should be thrown out." A third voice laughed harshly. Daniel's heart pounded. He expected anger to rise in him, but instead he felt something strange. He saw her arms, thin, almost bone showing under the skin. He saw her cheeks hollow, her lips cracked. Her whole body looked too weak for someone. Her age, still. He asked with a hard voice, "Why did you steal my food?" The alien girl hugged the tray closer. Her voice was so quiet he almost didn't hear it. "I was hungry," she whispered. Some workers burst out laughing. Others shook their heads. A guard near the door stepped forward, ready to grab her. The crowd wanted punishment. In a place like the station, food was survival. Stealing was dangerous. Daniel's eyes did not leave hers. Something about the way she looked at him, like a cornered animal, made his chest tighten. He spoke again. "Hungry? There are rations for everyone." The girl shook her head fast. Her tangled hair fell over her glowing eyes. She whispered again, "Not enough. Not for me." Her words broke in the middle. Her stomach growled loudly, the sound echoing in the silence. The guard raised his voice. "Step aside, human. We'll deal with this thief." Daniel hesitated. He could hand her over, forget about it, sit back down and maybe get another tray later. But something stopped him, in her trembling hands. He didn't see a thief, he saw desperation. The girl pressed her back against the cold steel wall. The tray rattled in her grip. Tears began to gather in her glowing eyes. She whispered one more time, "Please don't let them take me." Daniel stood still, torn between the rules of the station and the pull of his own heart. The mess hall was waiting, everyone watching. Some faces amused, others angry, all curious. He felt the weight of 100 eyes. And in that moment, Daniel realized something. This was not just about a stolen meal. This was about survival, about someone so desperate that she risked everything for one piece of bread. The suspense grew heavier as the guard stepped closer, his boots echoing. His hand reached out to grab the girl. Daniel moved, his own hand lifted, blocking the guard. The entire hall gasped. A human protecting an alien thief was not something they expected to see. The girl looked up at him, her eyes wide with shock and fear. The tray still shaking in her hands, her small frame seemed to shrink against the wall. Daniel's voice was steady, even though his heart raced. "She's just a child," he said. "She stole because she's starving." The guard narrowed his eyes. "And what? You want to feed every thief in this station?" Daniel didn't answer. His gaze remained on the girl. In that silence, the choice was made. He could not walk away. The air in the hall was thick with tension. Every worker waited to see what would happen next, and Daniel knew whatever step he took now would change everything. The girl's glowing eyes blinked back tears. She whispered a word so soft only he could hear. "Thank you." And in that fragile word, Daniel's heart cracked. He did not know her story yet, but he knew one thing: this was only the beginning. The girl's plea. The mess hall was still buzzing after Daniel blocked the guard. Some workers muttered under their breath, some shook their heads, others simply watched in silence. Daniel felt the weight of all their stares, but he didn't move. The alien girl clutched his tray like it was the only thing keeping her alive. Her glowing eyes darted between Daniel and the guard. The guard's voice was sharp. "Step away, human, or you'll answer for her crime too." Daniel's jaw tightened. He didn't even know why he was doing this. He had only wanted to eat his meal, but something about the girl's trembling hands and hollow cheeks had rooted him in place. She wasn't just a thief, she was desperate, and desperation always had a story. "Tell me," Daniel said softly, ignoring the guard, his eyes fixed on the girl. "Why did you take it? Why risk this?" The girl's lips quivered. She pressed the bread close to her chest, her shoulders shook, a small whisper left her throat. "I haven't eaten in days." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Some scoffed. "Lies," one worker shouted. "They always say that," another said bitterly. But Daniel noticed how her voice cracked, how her hands trembled so much she could barely hold the spoon. Her eyes weren't lying. They were pleading. "Not eaten?" Daniel asked carefully. "Where are your rations? Everyone gets their share." The girl shook her head hard, strands of messy hair falling into her face. She looked so small in that moment, like the wall behind her might swallow her whole. Her voice came out raw. "They don't give enough, not for me, not for—" She stopped suddenly, biting her lip as if she had said too much. The guard stepped forward again, impatience in his steps. "Enough of this. She's wasting time." But Daniel raised his hand again, stopping him. "Wait." His voice was steady, commanding enough that even the guard hesitated. The girl's eyes filled with tears, shining under the dim lights. "I wasn't trying to hurt anyone," she whispered. I needed food." Her words broke apart, the way broken glass falls into sharp pieces. "I would have done anything else, but there was nothing left." Her stomach growled again, louder this time, echoing against the steel walls. Some of the workers shifted uncomfortably. The sound was too real to ignore. Daniel crouched a little, lowering his voice. "You were willing to risk punishment just for this meal?" The girl's eyes locked onto his, desperate and wet with tears. "Yes, because if I didn't, I wouldn't survive the night." The hall fell silent at her words. Even the ones who had mocked her quieted. There was something in her tone that cut through pride and cruelty. It was the sound of someone on the edge. Daniel's heart thudded in his chest. He had seen hunger before. He had grown up poor, but he had never seen someone this fragile, this close to collapsing. And yet, in her eyes, he saw a spark of stubbornness, a will to live. The guard crossed his arms. "She's manipulating you, human. That's what they do. They steal, they beg, they cry, and fools like you fall for it." Daniel straightened, his jaw hard, but before he could speak, the girl's voice cracked through again, louder than before. "I am not lying," she cried. Her hands shook as she clutched the tray tighter. "Do you think I wanted this? To beg? To steal?" Her voice was sharp now, trembling with both fear and anger. "I don't want pity, I want to live." The rawness in her tone stunned the hall. Even the guard flinched at her sudden outburst. Daniel's throat felt dry. He saw her body shake as though her strength might give out at any moment. But still she stood, clutching the stolen meal as if her life depended on it. For a moment, Daniel saw something else, a glimpse beneath her thin frame. He saw courage, the kind born only from suffering. She was young, too young to carry such heavy words. The whispers in the hall changed. Some workers frowned, others looked away. A few even muttered. She might be telling the truth. The guard growled in frustration. Enough, I will not listen to a thief. He reached forward, his hand grabbing her arm roughly. The girl gasped, dropping the spoon. Her eyes widened with terror. She cried out, "Please, don't take me, please!" Her scream pierced the air, breaking what little calm was left. Daniel reacted without thinking. His hand shot out, grabbing the guard's wrist. The grip was firm, the kind that left no doubt he would not let go. The guard's eyes narrowed. "What are you doing?" Daniel's voice was low, controlled, but full of steel. "You heard her, she's not lying." The girl pressed herself against the wall again, tears rolling down her cheeks now. Her words came broken, desperate. "If they take me, I won't come back, please don't let them." That plea wasn't just about the meal. Daniel felt it deep in his chest. It was about something darker, something she couldn't yet say in front of everyone. But her eyes told the truth. She was terrified of what would happen if the guards took her away. Daniel's heart cracked again. The hall, the voices, the guard, all of it faded. He saw only her, a child fighting against a cruel system with nothing but her trembling voice. He spoke quietly but with conviction. "She stays with me." The hall erupted in gasps. Workers stared in shock. The guard froze, eyes wide in disbelief. The girl's hands tightened on the tray. Her glowing eyes filled with fresh tears, but this time there was a flicker of hope. And in that fragile hope, Daniel knew he had crossed a line he could never step back from. The hidden truth. The mess hall slowly returned to noise, but Daniel felt every eye on him as he led the alien girl away. He didn't speak, and neither did she. Her bare feet made soft sounds against the steel floor. The tray of food rattled in her shaking hands. Daniel knew the guards would follow. He could already feel their suspicion burning at his back. But for now, he needed space. He needed answers. He guided her into one of the quieter halls of the station, a narrow corridor where old storage crates were stacked and the lights flickered. Weakly, once they were hidden from the crowd, Daniel turned to her. His voice was steady but not unkind. "Tell me the truth. Why are you really stealing?" "Not just hungry. There's more, I can see it in your eyes." The girl stood against the wall, clutching the bread like it might vanish. Her glowing eyes darted nervously. She wanted to speak, but fear locked her throat. She swallowed hard, then whispered, "If I tell you, will you give me to them?" Daniel shook his head slowly. "No, but if you want my help, I need to know." Her lips trembled. She pressed the bread tighter to her chest. A tear slid down her cheek. She whispered, "I am alone, my family is gone." Daniel frowned. "Gone? How?" Her voice cracked as she answered, "The mines. When the tunnels collapsed, they were buried. Everyone said nothing could be done. They left us." Her small shoulders shook. She covered her mouth with one thin hand, trying not to sob. Daniel felt a chill run down his spine. He remembered that collapse weeks ago. Alarms had filled the station. Rescue teams had been too slow. Many miners, alien and human, had died. It was all hushed quickly, brushed away like dust. He crouched slightly, so his eyes were level with hers. "You lost them there?" She nodded weakly. "My father, my mother, my older sister, all gone in one night. I crawled out alone." Her voice broke into silence. Daniel's chest tightened. He could picture her small figure dragging herself out of the rubble, surrounded by smoke and falling stone. He realized how impossible it must have been for her to survive at all. Her voice returned, softer now. "After that, no one cared. No rations, no place to sleep. They said I was useless, too young to work, too alien to matter." She bit her lip until it bled. "So I learned to hide, to find scraps. But scraps ran out." Daniel clenched his fists. His anger wasn't at her. It was at the system, at the people who could let a child waste away in the corners of the station. The girl finally lifted her glowing eyes to his. "When I saw your tray, I couldn't stop myself. I thought, if I could eat tonight, maybe I would have strength for tomorrow." Her words fell heavy in the silent corridor. Daniel had no reply. His throat burned. His meal, which had seemed small minutes ago, now carried the weight of her survival. For a long moment neither spoke. The flickering light above them hummed. Somewhere far in the station, machinery clanked. Finally, Daniel asked gently, "What's your name?" The girl hesitated as if the word itself was dangerous. She whispered, "Lyra. Lyra." Daniel repeated quietly. The name sounded fragile, like glass. He let out a slow breath. "And how old are you?" Her eyes lowered. 12? Maybe. 13. I don't know exactly. My people don't keep time the same as humans. Daniel felt his heart twist. She was just a child, and yet she carried the weight of tragedy no child should know. Before he could speak again, the sound of boots echoed from the far side of the corridor. Guards searching. Lyra stiffened instantly, her entire body trembling like a trapped animal. "Don't let them find me," she whispered quickly, her eyes wide with terror. "If they take me, I won't come back." Daniel understood now. Her fear wasn't only of hunger. It was of being caught, being dragged away into places no one spoke about. The holding cells where thieves vanished, sometimes forever. He made his decision, firm and silent. He pulled open one of the old storage crates and motioned, "Hide here. Stay quiet." Lyra looked at him with wide, desperate eyes, then crawled inside, hugging the bread tightly. Daniel shut the lid softly, leaving just enough space for air. Moments later, 2 guards rounded the corner. Their eyes narrowed when they saw Daniel. "You human, have you seen the thief?" Daniel's heartbeat thudded, but his face stayed calm. "No," he lied smoothly. "Hall's empty." The guard stared at him suspiciously. One of them stepped closer. "Strange. You were seen walking this way." Daniel met his gaze without flinching. "Strange how rumors spread, isn't it?" His tone was casual but sharp. The guard sneered. "If you're hiding her, it will go bad for you." Daniel shrugged. "Then search. You'll find nothing." The guards glanced around, muttering, then finally stomped away. Their heavy boots faded into the distance. When the silence returned, Daniel exhaled. He opened the crate slowly. Lyra's glowing eyes peeked out, filled with both fear and relief. She clutched the bread tighter. "You saved me," she whispered, voice shaking. Daniel didn't answer right away. His own thoughts were storming. He had lied to guards, broken rules, and risked punishment. But when he looked at her thin frame and hollow face, he knew he couldn't regret it. He spoke finally, his voice low. "I don't know what will happen next, but I won't hand you over." Lyra's lips trembled. She whispered one word that cut deeper than any plea. "Why?" Daniel paused. Then he answered simply, "Because no one should face this alone." And in that moment, as her eyes shone with tears and the weight of her hidden truth hung heavy in the air, Daniel realized he had stepped into a fight much larger than himself. A fight he could no longer walk away from. The guards. Close. And Daniel could still feel the echo of the guards' boots fading down the corridor. But he knew it was not over. Guards on the station did not forget. They hunted until they were satisfied, and they were rarely satisfied without blood or chains. Lyra crawled out of the crate, her thin frame trembling from both fear and hunger. She clutched the piece of bread to her chest as if it was her only shield. Her glowing eyes searched Daniel's face, half expecting him to change his mind. "Will they come back?" she whispered, her voice no louder than the hum of the flickering lights. Daniel glanced down the corridor. His jaw tightened. "Yes. They will not stop until they find you." Her small shoulders sank. The bread shook in her hands. "Then I should hide in another place," she said softly. "If they catch me near you, you'll be punished too." Daniel's chest tightened. She was thinking of him. Even now. "No," he said firmly. "Running alone will only make it worse. They'll hunt you until you're cornered, and you won't escape them a second time." For a moment, silence filled the narrow hall, only broken by the distant clang of pipes. Daniel rubbed his temples, trying to think. He had already crossed the line when he stopped the guard. He had lied. He had risked himself. And now, there was no turning back. He leaned down to meet her frightened eyes. Lyra, listen to me. If you want to survive, you can't do it alone. Let me help you. Her lips trembled. She shook her head weakly. Why? You don't know me. You could have left me in the hall. Everyone else wanted you to. Daniel's voice was steady, but it carried a quiet fire. Because I couldn't. I've seen too many turn away. I won't be one of them. Lyra's glowing, eyes filled with tears, but she nodded slowly, a flicker of trust sparking in her gaze. Before Daniel could say more, a harsh sound cut through the hall. Metallic boots stomping closer, louder this time. Multiple pairs, not just two. The guards were sweeping the station level by level, closing in like hunters circling prey. Daniel cursed under his breath. He grabbed Lyra's hand. Her fingers were small, cold, but they gripped his like a lifeline. Come on, he whispered. They moved quickly through the winding corridors, slipping into shadows, weaving between old machinery and rusted pipes. Daniel knew the station better than most. He had worked here for years. He knew which passages the guards avoided, which vents carried sound. But the guards were organized. Their heavy steps echoed closer with every turn. Their voices barked orders. Check the storage. Sweep the vents. The thief is near. Lyra's breathing grew ragged. Her weak legs stumbled. Daniel steadied her with one arm, whispering, Quiet, just a little farther. At last he pulled her into a forgotten storage chamber, its door rusted, half hidden behind a stack of broken crates inside. The air was stale, filled with dust. He shut the door softly, pressing his back against it. His heartbeat thundered in his ears. Lyra sank onto the cold floor, clutching the bread but too afraid to eat. Her glowing eyes stayed, fixed on Daniel. They'll find us, won't they? She whispered. Daniel crouched beside her, lowering his voice. Not if I keep them busy. I've hidden here before. They'll search. But if we stay quiet, they might pass us. Her thin fingers tightened around his sleeve. Please, don't leave me. He looked at her fragile frame, the bruises of hunger written on her skin, and knew he couldn't. I won't, he promised softly. No matter what happens, I'll stay. The sound of boots thundered outside, closer now. Shadows moved under the crack of the door. Voices barked orders. The handle rattled once, twice. Daniel held his breath, his muscles tensed, ready to fight if he had to. The guards muttered, one voice low and sharp. She's here somewhere. The human is hiding her. I can feel it. Another voice answered. Then tear the place apart. Daniel's pulse hammered. He pressed his finger to his lips, signaling Lyra to stay silent. She hugged her knees to her chest, eyes wide, tears glistening in the dim light. The boots moved away, fading slowly, but not far. Daniel exhaled slowly, whispering, They're not giving up. They'll search every corner of this level. Lyra's whisper was broken, trembling. If they find us, they'll take me away. And you'll be punished for helping me. Daniel looked at her, her eyes filled with both fear and guilt. Then we can't let them find us, he said firmly. If I have to fight them, I will. But I won't let them take you. Her small voice quivered. Why risk yourself? I'm nothing here, I'm nobody. Daniel shook his head, his voice heavy with conviction. No, you're not nothing. And maybe I don't know why yet. But something tells me your life matters more than they want us to believe. Lyra's glowing eyes widened, shimmering with both disbelief and fragile hope. Outside, the guards barked again, closer this time. Search the lower deck. If she's not there, check the ducts. Daniel tightened his jaw. He knew the search wouldn't end until they either caught her or someone paid the price. The walls of the storage room felt like they were closing in, and as the footsteps echoed once more, heavier, closer, Daniel realized something chilling. Protecting her wasn't just about hiding anymore. It was about standing against the entire system, and sooner or later the system would notice him too. A risky bargain. The storage room was too small to hide in forever. Daniel knew that. The guards' footsteps came and went, circling the decks, like wolves hunting for the smell of blood. Every time the boots echoed close, Lyra's small body froze, her glowing eyes wide with fear. Daniel leaned against the cold metal wall, thinking hard. He had saved her twice now. But saving her once more would take more than hiding. The guards wouldn't stop. They were disciplined, ruthless, and above all, they obeyed the system, and the system didn't forgive thieves. Finally, he spoke, his voice low but steady. "We can't run forever, Lyra. They'll track you down, and when they do, they won't care about your hunger or your pain." Lyra hugged her knees, whispering, "Then what will happen?" Daniel looked at her thin frame, her trembling hands, the way she tried to make herself small as if to disappear. His heart twisted. "If they catch you, you'll vanish," he said quietly. "The cells, the labor camps, maybe worse." Her lips parted in a silent gasp. She already knew, but hearing it out loud broke something inside her. She pressed her forehead against her knees, whispering, "I don't want to disappear." Daniel crouched beside her, lifting her chin gently. Her glowing eyes shone with unshed tears. "Then we have to try something else," he said. "Not hiding, not running. A bargain." She frowned, confused. "A bargain? With who?" Daniel's jaw tightened. "The quartermaster. He controls the rations, the supplies. If anyone can allow you food without drawing suspicion, it's him." Lyra's fear deepened. "But he hates us. He always pushes my people aside. He calls us extra mouths. He won't help me." Daniel's gaze hardened. "He won't help you, but maybe he'll listen to me if I give him something in return." Lyra's eyes widened. "What could you give? You don't have anything." Daniel's lips pressed into a thin line. He already knew the answer. He whispered, "My rations, all of them." Lyra's hands shook. "No, you'll starve." Daniel shook his head. "I've gone hungry before. I can last longer than you. I'm stronger, older. But you won't survive another week without food." Her lips trembled. "Why would you do that for me?" Daniel looked at her, the hollow face of a child robbed of family, of safety, of the right to live. And his answer was simple, because someone has to. The next morning, Daniel walked into the supply office. The quartermaster was a broad man with sharp eyes and a belly that spoke of privilege. He sat behind a desk stacked with ration slips, chewing on a piece of jerky that few miners could ever afford. When Daniel entered, the quartermaster smirked. "Back so soon? You want extra food too? You know the rules. No favors, no handouts." Daniel placed his ration slips on the desk. "I'm not asking for a handout, I'm offering a trade." The quartermaster raised an eyebrow, amused. "Trade? With what?" "These slips are your meals for the week. You give them up, you get nothing." Daniel's voice was firm. "I don't need them, I want them given to someone else." The quartermaster leaned back, chewing slower now. "Someone else? Who?" Daniel met his gaze steadily. "The alien girl, the one you call a thief." The man burst out laughing, slamming his palm on the desk. "You've lost your mind, human. You want to feed a criminal? One of them? Out of your own pocket?" Daniel didn't flinch. "Yes." The laughter died quickly. The quartermaster leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "You realize what you're asking? You'll make enemies. Human workers will call you a traitor. Guards will think you're weak, and for what? An alien rat who should have been tossed into space long ago?" Daniel's jaw tightened, his voice low but sharp. "For a child, not a rat. A child who lost everything in your minds. A child who will die unless someone gives her a chance." The quartermaster sneered. "And why should I care if she lives or dies? More food for the rest of us if she doesn't." Daniel's fists clenched, his voice dropped into steel. "Because if she dies, you'll know you killed her, and if she lives, you'll know you profited from my sacrifice. Take my rations. Give them to her. Call it whatever you want, but that's my bargain." Silence filled the room. The quartermaster studied him, testing his resolve. Daniel's eyes did not waver. Finally, the man leaned back, smirking. "Fine, human, I'll take your deal. But don't come crying when hunger breaks you. And when the others laugh, remember, it was your choice." He stamped the ration slips, tossing them aside. "She'll get food, but you get nothing." Daniel nodded once, his face calm. "That's enough." When Daniel returned to Lyra, She was waiting in the dark corner of the maintenance deck. Her eyes widened when she saw him empty-handed. "You didn't?" Daniel gave her a faint smile. "It's done. You'll get food from now on." Her mouth fell open. "But how? What did you give him?" Daniel shrugged lightly, trying to hide the hunger already gnawing at his stomach. "Nothing important." But Lyra saw through the lie, her glowing eyes filled with tears. "You gave up your food, didn't you?" Daniel stayed silent. His silence was the answer. She dropped the bread she had been saving, shaking her head. "No, I can't let you do that. You'll starve. You'll die." Daniel put a hand gently on her shoulder. "I'll survive, Lyra. But you need this more than I do." Her lips trembled. She whispered, "Why are you doing this for me? Nobody has ever done anything for me." Daniel's voice was soft but firm. "Because I refuse to be like everyone else, because I can't watch a child fade away while I eat, and because sometimes, Lyra, one person's sacrifice is the only thing that keeps another alive." She looked at him with wide, tearful eyes, and in that moment, something unspoken passed between them. Not just gratitude, but a fragile bond. Outside, the guard's boots thundered again, still searching, still hungry for her capture. But for the first time, Lyra felt a flicker of safety. Not from hiding, not from luck, but from the choice of one human who had risked everything for her. And Daniel knew this bargain was only the beginning of a far greater cost. Breaking point days passed in the mining station like slow drops of water falling in a cave. Cold and heavy, Daniel kept his word. Every morning, Lyra received food quietly from the quartermaster's desk. Workers noticed. Whispers began. They said Daniel had lost his mind, that he was feeding a thief while starving himself. Daniel ignored them, but his body felt the truth. His stomach growled through the long shifts. His arms trembled when he carried heavy tools. The dust in the mines felt thicker than ever. Some nights he lay awake, too weak to sleep. Hunger gnawed at him like an animal chewing on his bones. But when he saw Lyra's face slowly regaining color, when he saw her hands no longer shake as badly when she ate, it gave him strength. Even if his body weakened, his will hardened. Still, the station was not blind. Rumors spread. Workers laughed at him openly. "The alien lover," they sneered. "The soft-hearted fool." Some spat near his boots as he passed. A few even shoved him in the tunnels, hoping to break his spirit. Daniel said nothing. He had lived with insults before, but what angered him was the way Lyra shrank when she heard them. The girl who had once looked like a trembling shadow now carried guilt in her glowing eyes. One evening, when Daniel brought her to a quiet corner to share the bread she saved for him, she spoke, her voice breaking. "You shouldn't do this anymore. They hate you now because of me." Daniel shook his head. "Let them hate. Hate is easy for them. Living is hard for you. That matters more." Her lips trembled. "But you're hurting yourself. You're getting weaker, I see it." Daniel sighed, leaning against the cold wall. "I've been weaker before, I can manage. Besides, I've worked hungry many times." But Lyra's small fists clenched. "I don't want to live if it means you die. That's not fair." Her words cut deep into him. Daniel looked into her glowing eyes and saw not only fear but a spark of something fierce. Something like love, not romantic, but the kind that a child feels when someone finally stands for them. Before he could reply, loud voices echoed through the corridor. Guards closer than before. This time they were not searching aimlessly. They had names. "Find the human Daniel," one barked. "He's hiding the alien thief. Bring them both in." Lyra froze, her glowing eyes wide. "They know," she whispered. Daniel's stomach twisted. He had expected whispers, suspicion, but not this. Now it was open. They were coming. For him as much as for her. Boots thundered down the steel floors. Workers peeked out of the halls, watching with cruel amusement or silent pity. Some pointed, guiding the guards, betraying him. Daniel grabbed Lyra's hand. "Come with me." His voice was steady, but inside, fear burned hot. They ran through the station. weaving between crates and shadows, but Daniel's weakened body could not move as fast as before. His hunger slowed him. Each step felt heavier. His chest burned. Lyra noticed, her small voice trembling. "You can't keep running, you'll fall." Daniel clenched his jaw. "Then we don't run, we stand." They ducked into an abandoned machine hall, broken gears and rusted pipes towering like giants. Daniel pulled her behind a massive steel engine. He caught his breath, his hands shaking. The sound of boots filled the hall. Guards fanned out. Their weapons clanged against their armor. "They're here! Spread out!" Daniel pressed Lyra close to his side, whispering, "Stay behind me. No matter what happens, don't run into their arms." Her eyes glistened with tears. "They'll hurt you." He gave her a faint smile, though his chest tightened. "Better me than you." The guards advanced, lights flashing across the machines. One of them spotted movement and shouted, "There!" Daniel stepped forward, blocking Lyra from view. His arms spread wide. His voice thundered, "She's not going with you." The guards laughed cruelly. "Look at the hero," one sneered, "a starving human protecting a thief." Another raised his baton. "Move, or we'll break you." Daniel stood his ground. His body was weak, but his spirit blazed. "You call her a thief," he growled. "But she is just a child, a hungry child. And if your system cannot see the difference, then your system is broken." The words echoed through the hall. Workers gathered at the doorway, watching. Some murmured, shocked, at his boldness. The lead guard sneered, "Then you'll pay the price for her crime." He swung his baton, the strike hard and fast. Daniel blocked it with his arm, pain shooting through him like fire. He staggered but didn't fall. He shouted again, "If you want her, you'll have to go through me." Lyra cried out, clinging to his side. Her tears fell like bright drops against his dusty clothes. The guards advanced together now, weapons raised. Daniel braced himself, his fists clenched, his body ready though it shook with exhaustion. The workers, in the doorway, watched silently. Their whispers grew louder. Some looked ashamed, some looked afraid. A few even muttered, "He's right. She's just a child." The breaking point had come, Daniel realized. It was no longer about food. It was no longer about one stolen meal. It was about defiance, about whether one human's courage could stand against an unjust system. And as the guards closed in, Lyra pressed her face against his side and whispered through her sobs, "Don't leave me." Daniel's eyes hardened, his voice steady even as pain pulsed through him. "I won't." The hall filled with tension, heavy as a storm ready to break. The fight for Lyra's life, and his own, was no longer in the shadows. It was here, in the open, with the whole station as witness, the heart shattered. The machine hall trembled with voices and footsteps. Guards surrounded Daniel, their weapons raised. Workers crowded at the doorway, whispering. Some watched with anger, some with fear, but none stepped forward. Daniel stood tall, though his body was weak. His chest heaved. Hunger gnawed at his bones. His arm throbbed from the last blow. Yet his eyes blazed with fire. Lyra clung to his side, her glowing eyes full of terror. The lead guard sneered. "Step aside, human. This is your last warning." Daniel's voice came steady, carrying through the hall. "No, I will not let you take her." The guard raised his baton again, ready to strike, but then a sound broke the tension. Lyra's voice, small but sharp. "Stop." Everyone froze. The girl stepped out from behind Daniel, her small frame trembling but her voice echoing with desperate courage. "If you want to punish someone, punish me. I stole the meal, not him." Her words cut through the silence. The workers gasped. The guards hesitated. Daniel's heart cracked. "Lyra, no." But she shook her head, glowing tears running down her cheeks. "You gave up your food for me. You protected me, and now you'll die because of me. I can't let that happen." Her voice trembled but grew louder. "I stole because I had no choice, not for greed, not for myself, but because—" She stopped, her throat tight. Her glowing eyes flickered with pain. She looked at Daniel, then at the guards, and whispered, Because my brother is dying. The words struck like a hammer. The hall went silent. Daniel's breath caught. Brother? Lyra nodded, choking on her tears. He's too weak to walk. He hasn't eaten in days. I thought if I stole just once I could save him. That meal wasn't for me. It was for him, the workers muttered among themselves. Some covered their mouths, shame flooding their faces. Guards looked at one another uneasy. Daniel felt his chest shatter. All this time he had thought she stole for herself. And even then, he had understood her desperation. But now he realized she had risked everything, not for her hunger but for her brother's life. The lead guard's face twisted. Lies, these creatures always lie. But Lyra's glowing tears fell to the steel floor, her small voice shaking. Come with me. I'll show you. I'll show you where he is. Daniel knelt beside her, his voice gentle but trembling. Lyra, you should have told me. She shook her head, whispering, I was afraid if anyone knew they would take him away and I couldn't lose him too. Daniel's heart broke in ways he hadn't thought possible. Hunger and pain no longer mattered. He took her trembling hand, squeezing it firmly. Then take me to him. We'll face it together. The guards hesitated, but curiosity held them back. The crowd of workers followed at a distance. Lyra led Daniel through the twisting halls, down, to the lower decks, where the lights flickered weak and the air was heavy with rust and dampness. She stopped at a shadowed corner where broken crates were piled. She knelt, pulling back a ragged blanket. Underneath lay a boy, smaller than Lyra, his skin pale, his body frail like glass. His glowing eyes fluttered weakly open. He whispered something in their language, too faint to understand. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. The sight tore him apart. The boy was barely clinging to life. His chest rose and fell shallowly. Lyra pressed the bread to her brother's lips, tears dripping down her cheeks. See? He's real. He's all I have left. The workers who had followed stood in silence, their laughter and scorn gone. Some looked away, ashamed. Others wiped their eyes. The guard shifted uncomfortably. Their leader muttered, This doesn't change the law. Theft is theft. Daniel rose to his feet, his voice low but heavy with steel. Then your law is blind. If a child must steal to keep her brother alive, the crime is not hers. It is yours, for letting it happen. The words rang through the hall like thunder. The workers murmured in agreement. A spark had been lit, small but undeniable. The lead guard scowled, but the weight of the crowd's eyes pressed on him. He lowered his baton slowly, muttering, This isn't over, before turning away. The others followed, their steps heavy with unease. The crowd dispersed, silent. But something had shifted. For the first time, they saw the truth. Not a thief, but a sister fighting for her brother's life. Daniel knelt back down, placing a hand on Lyra's shoulder. She looked up at him, her face wet with tears. I told you my secret, she whispered. Now you know everything. Daniel's eyes softened, though his chest ached with sorrow. Yes, and now it's not your fight alone. The boy coughed weakly, clutching his sister's hand. Lyra kissed his forehead gently, whispering in her language, promising him safety. Daniel looked at the two of them, so fragile, yet so strong, and he felt his resolve harden like steel. From this day, I'll protect you both, even if the whole galaxy stands against us. Lyra's lips trembled, but for the first time, a flicker of hope shone through her tears. The heart-shattering truth had been revealed. This had never been about stolen food, but about stolen lives, about survival in the cold shadow of cruelty. And Daniel knew one thing with certainty. This was only the beginning of their fight.